U.S. Senate in the spotlight lately, one of the reasons being, of course, the Buffett rule that went up for a vote. It did not pass. We have U.S. Senator Blunt. He is with us this morning. It's good to hear from you. How are you?
I'm good, Nick. How are you this morning?
I am doing fantastic. Good to hear from you. So the Buffett rule thing that the Senate voted on, it didn't pass. Little gimmicky here.
It's a total gimmick, and everybody knows it. Even the Obama-friendly media carried this as a gimmick. Nobody in the history of the taxation system of the country, nobody has ever thought that you would treat investment income like you'd treat earned income. If you do, people don't invest. You have to. You and I have talked about this before at other times on your program, but if you don't understand the risk-reward element of capitalism, you don't understand the principal thing that makes people make economic decisions where they could lose money. And if somebody's not willing to lose money, people don't create opportunity for somebody else. Now, you don't have to lose money, but when you invest money, you always take that chance that you're not going to get it back. And so we've always thought that you tax that kind of income differently because people aren't guaranteed that they're going to get it, and you want people to invest in the economy. So that's the big macro reason. The micro reason is it was a debate about virtually nothing. We spend more now in a day at the federal government than the government would collect under the Buffett rule in a whole year. And so it's not a solution to any problem. The president wants to redistribute wealth and talk about a tax code that doesn't care if it drives the economy to produce more jobs. He just wants people to believe it's, quote, fair, unquote. And it's foolish economics, and I hope it turns out to be foolish politics for him as well.
You know, up there, it's a different atmosphere than here, and sometimes it's hard to sort of gauge inside out, outside in. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys sense it up there or not, but people, the average person, they don't realize that there are different forms of taxation being talked about here. Well, the media has done an incredibly effective job of formulating or carrying the formulation of the Democrats that they're talking about the same taxes. I mean, in the minds of most Americans, I think, when they hear about, Warren Buffett pays a lower tax rate than his secretary, they think that they're talking income tax, not investment tax versus income tax. I mean,
right,
yeah,
right. I think you're right about that. And when people say, is that fair? Of course they say that's not fair, and on the same kind of income, it wouldn't be true either. Warren Buffett's salary, though he keeps it intentionally small, is taxed at a pretty high rate. By the time he averages out all of the investment income, he gets that gets pretty low. And, you know, I don't really, if Warren Buffett wants to give all his money to the federal government, that's okay with me. But for the average man and woman out there who are trying to decide if they want to risk their savings, if they want to make an investment, if you get the return low, where it's not going to be high enough for the risk, people just don't take risk. And you're right. You know, if this was explained in an economic sense, but listen to the president when he says this is about fairness in the tax code. The tax code should primarily be about how do we fund the necessary things that government has to do? And secondly, how do you have a tax code that encourages the most jobs and opportunity for families and for individuals? If we were spending the same amount of time talking about good energy policy, we'd be happy on the economy than talking about foolish economic policy.
We're talking with U.S. Senator Blunt. The administration over the last several years has found a number of individuals to point fingers at or entities when it comes to energy prices, gas prices. It's been blamed on big oil. It's been blamed on refineries. It's been blamed on the people for not buying the right sort of vehicles or inflating their tires. It has now, at one point, seemingly, it was blamed on the fact that taxes weren't high enough. There was talk about putting increased taxes on oil and companies, which, of course, the people would end up paying for. And now it's speculators. Speculators are the problem. Now, they weren't the problem when gas somehow was, back in 94, $1.09 a gallon on average, or $1.89 a gallon whenever Obama took over. Somehow now speculators are involved in the process. What is it that you see, if anything, that can get done either by the Senate when it comes to these gas prices or the energy prices? And is it anything that can be even done under the current administration?
I think now, under the current administration, maybe, because the president's obviously desperately trying to figure out a way to deny his own energy policies. So I think that you could do things that would impact gas prices by just announcing policies that were going to result in at some future date in more supply. The Keystone Pipeline, Canadians have that oil. They want to sell it to us. They'd like for 830,000 barrels a day of Canadian oil to be going to our refineries. And why in the world wouldn't we allow that to happen? Oil shale, gas shale, drilling in the Gulf, all those things should happen. And I'm fine with everything else happening too, if it can ever be competitive in the marketplace. Wind, solar, I'm for all of it. But the traditional fuels are the fuel future of America for the next couple of decades at least, and we ought to be announcing that we're going to use our fuels to our economic advantage, and those fuels of our neighbors. It's almost as good. It's better to get American energy from the United States of America for us, but it's almost as good to get it from our closest trading partners. And Canada is our best trading partner. Every time we send them $1, they send us almost $1 back. The Keystone Pipeline means, private sector American jobs, no taxpayer money involved. I just can't imagine how the president continues to deny that. So maybe sometime between now and the election, his desire to want to be president again will lead him to believe that he's going to have to approve that Keystone Pipeline. And he says he's for all of the above in energy, but nobody in the administration seems to know that at EPA or Energy or Interior. They are clearly not aware that the president is for all of the above as a good energy policy.
U.S. Senator Blunt, I don't know the answer to this, so I'm genuinely asking. Have you come out in support of anyone in the primary to take on Senator McCaskill?
I haven't. They've all.
You want to? You can. I'll allow you to do it now if you'd like to.
Well, Nick, that's really a great opportunity for me, and I appreciate it. But there are probably more than 3 Republicans filed, but the 3 that I know, Sarah Steelman, John Bruner, and Todd Aiken, have all been helpful to me in one way or another. I consider them all friends. What I've said is, if it becomes obvious to me that one of them has put the campaign together that's going to allow them to be the nominee, I may not wait until August to get involved. But until one of them accomplishes that task, I'm prepared to encourage all 3 of them and wish them well. And I'd like to be in the majority in the Senate, and it's pretty hard to imagine the Senate majority that the Missouri seat isn't part of. So I'll get involved, but I haven't endorsed anybody yet, and when I do, I'll try to remember to call you and take advantage of this offer.
All right. Well, it's very kind of you. I'm just trying to be generous with you, that's all. All right. Well, listen.
I knew you were just trying to...
I'm a nice guy like that. Well, listen, thanks for your time. Appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Hey, great to talk to you. Talk to you soon. What's the weather like in Springfield?
It's really nice. We're up today 78. It's going to be warm, but then... Tonight, thunderstorms, and cooler tomorrow, only about 60 for a high. So, it's
the Jason traffic report. I'd be
yeah. Well, if I tell you what, we're going to do that right now. So, how's that sound?
All right, buddy. See you.
All right, thanks, U.S. Senator Blunt.